This is episode 24 with Podiatrist Duong from Australia. Hi, my name is Leon Gabrielian, and this is the Thriving Life Club, the podcast for those who want to thrive in every area of life. Thanks for joining me today. Welcome to the club. Let's begin. Welcome back to the club, champion. Today, our guest is Duong. He's a podiatrist from Australia, a successful podiatrist from Australia. As you already know, feet are very important, obviously, for everyday life. We use them every day from the time we wake up until the time we go to bed. So it's very important to have healthy and strong feet. That's what we're going to talk about today with Grant. He's going to reveal some tips, practical tools we can use on a daily basis in order to keep our feet healthy and strong. Let's dive into it. You, your older brother, and younger sister have a clinic, right? Is it
That's
called
right.
a clinic?
That's right.
And your older brother is an acupuncturist? No, he's a chiropractor.
That's right. Yeah.
And your sister is an acupuncturist.
That's right.
How did that happen? I mean, was it by design, or did it just happen that you guys chose professions that are kind of similar and adjacent to each other?
It was something that was always told by our parents, reinforced that whatever career we chose, endeavor to follow a career that will help others, especially healthcare. And you know, that's what mum and dad always preached, and they always told us that they would, if we could potentially find a career in health or whatever profession that helps people, and try to unite each other and work together all in the same office. Because sometimes it happens, you hardly see your siblings when you've got your own business and you've got your own, clinic or office, and sometimes things get busy. So this is a good chance for us to work together as well as see each other and remain close, in terms of siblings.
Mm-hmm. To combine two things together, family and business. Hopefully, how's it working out so far?
Yeah, we always make sure to have our monthly boxing session. No, it's at first, when first starting out, it was tricky, just trying to separate love and blood love to blood business. So if we can't agree on something, then we just put it to bed, and then we meet back during our monthly or emergency fortnightly meetings, and we sit down and nut it out. So we can't leave until we've sorted out whatever conflict or whatever decision-making process is. It's definitely a long process, but we've learned to work with each other, which is a big challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be siblings and play around, be brother and sisters, and it's a totally different thing to run a business.
Oh,
right?
Different, completely different.
How long has it been? Were you, before the clinic,
Mm-hmm.
what were you guys doing? Did you have separate offices?
Yeah, before the clinic, each of us, my brother had his own office. My sister was still in training. No, sorry, yeah, she's in training. I was just working other clinics. For myself, I was practicing in 2 to 3 clinics at that time. So I got out of uni and finished my course, and I did not want to open my own one yet. I wanted to learn the trade and how to deal with people, and because when you're in university or college, you learn the theory, but you never learn application. And I think I am overly confident that 95% of the way way I practice is purely hands-on experience rather than the theory side. So big choice, and it was a long process, but eventually we found the office, and we decided to invest in that and build from there.
So when you say a long process and it took a long time, and what was it like? You coming out of university and getting started, what was it like? It was pretty easy, right? I'm kidding, but
It was pretty. It was easy in terms of because I wanted to become a podiatrist when I was 15. So I knew what the career, the profession demanded because I had done some work experience with the sort of like my mentor at that time, and it was good to understand the insight of that. So transitioning from student to practitioner was was pretty smooth, surprisingly. I remember when I met my first patient, I was just thrown into the deep end. All right, these are your patients for today, and that was my first day. And yep, all right, go. Okay, it's all yours. All right, that's it. So the clinic I was in, they basically dropped me in the deep end and learn to swim. So thankfully, that patient was very happy, happy, and yeah, it led to that. And then you kind of evolve the way you practice and the way you go about your business. And yeah, I going into practicing, I've got family members who are in the medical and health profession, and a successful practitioner is always one that has no time for anything. They work all day, all night. They're never at any social events, and yeah, just work themselves too much. So I spent probably a good 4 or 5 years in that clinic session, 2 to 3 clinics, trying to learn the trade and trying to avoid that kind of lifestyle. I did lead that lifestyle, but when I moved over to my own clinic, I did not want that lifestyle at all. So big lifestyle decision.
what has been the biggest struggle or challenge thus far?
Thus far is as right now or back then?
Well, up to this point,
Up to this point?
starting where you just came out of the university and started practicing.
Yep. The biggest struggle was I'll divide it into three points of my podiatrist life. At first, the biggest struggle was trying to act as if I was an established professional working, because I was working. I felt like I was working like a dog. There's a point in your life where working from 8 to 8 in a clinic, and then going out to house calls to visit patients at home, working nonstop. It just takes the joy and the value of what you can do to help people. I wasn't being selfish myself, so I was just accepting. If anyone need help, I'm there. I'm there to help you. That was when I was transitioning from out of university into the new profession. Very exciting, very young, very eager. I still am, just a different version. Moving on to open up the clinic. The biggest struggle was obviously building your name, getting out there was always the trickiest part. But if your passion for the profession is there, sitting and waiting to see a specialist to have a chat with, or reaching out to bigger companies, or my current focus now is reaching out to companies and retailers and all that to fight against people who stand too long at work, which is my current battle or challenge now. My focus from when I first came out was just a clinician, trying to keep my head above water, trying to learn the profession. Opening the business was trying to get the concept of how I perceive healthcare to reach the masses of my local community. The biggest challenge that I set myself now is what impact as a podiatrist can I do locally, with the city, with the country, and global. So my mission now is to encourage a lot of, because my focus is occupational based. So a lot of people who go to work stand excessively, or they're on their feet all day, and no one really takes notice of their foot health until something breaks. So I usually preach about not being reactive health, but rather be proactive health. I was actually going to write a little ebook, or even an audio or video on how to save money on health. And the key is not to wait until something bad happens, when you need an operation or need something a bit more urgency or priority, like a surgery, but rather take steps to be proactive and take the initiative to take care of your health routinely. So it could be daily, weekly, monthly, and so forth, which is my current fight now. So it's making sure that the companies don't allow their workers to keep that mindset, and try to encourage them to be more in the workplace, being healthy, as well as going home and staying healthy too.
More of a preventative medicine.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, look, preventative, I'd say it's a hard one to say. I'd say just proactive is the key. Preventative, because a person who stands excessively from work is going to get wear and tear. It's inevitable, but it's about being proactive in preventing the scale of severity of your injury.
Hmm. Normal person would not find out who a podiatrist is unless something
Yeah,
breaks in their
that's
feet,
exactly
something
right.
happens, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
If you ask 100 people, what does podiatrist mean? Probably only a couple of people would know. It's not out there. You said you have made a decision to become a podiatrist when you were 15
Yes.
years old. What made you do it? How were you able to be so sure?
I'd say the key word is stubborn. It's really stubborn. So yeah,
What made you decide?
yeah.
Was there an event that caused this, or someone got you interested?
When I was 15, 14, 15, I had to take my grandma. I was dropped off at the podiatrist with my grandma. I was the interpreter. Reluctantly, the interpreter couldn't be bothered. I had better things to do, but took grandma, bless her heart, to the podiatrist. And at that point, the podiatrist, who he was the mentor growing up to become a podiatrist, he just asked me, being a young guy, he just goes, "Oh, Grant, what do you want to do in the future, and what do you see your career?" Just that's the first question anyone that's on the outside of my family has ever asked me that. And I said, "Oh, look, typical Australian Vietnamese kind of kid. Oh, we're going to do medicine or law or psychology." I was leaning to more towards law. And then he goes, "Oh, why don't you do podiatry?" And I said, "God, no, thank you. That's gross. It's foot, ugh, all
Exactly.
right."
Yeah.
So yeah, after a while sitting there, he just how his manner was. He loved what he did, and it really rubbed off me. I go, "Oh, okay." He goes, "Grant, don't think about the other professions yet. Because I think he liked my character, or he maybe needed like a slave for the busy week ahead of him." And he said, "Oh, look,
Uh-huh.
Grant, I would like to extend an invitation if you would like to do some work experience at my clinic, and you'll be hanging around me, and I'll show you what I do." And at that point in time, in Australia, for any child, any student in year 10, grade 10,
Hmm.
they're allowed to take a week off out of class to go get some work experience, just so they know where the career or progression is going. I think it's a great initiative. So, okay, great. Oh, it's a week out of school, see how I go, right? See how I go. And I did weekends, and then I did that week, and man, oh man, it's it was like he was rolled into everything that I wanted to become, a doctor or a lawyer or psychologist, all there, not qualified as those professions, but while I've got a scalpel or doing an operation on someone's toe, you have to trust me. You have to trust me and believe in me. So, it's just great to see the social interaction between the practitioner, the podiatrist, and the patient or the client. And it's just so many aspects of the foot. It was just so amazing that he would analyze the way they walk and how they stand, how the posture dictated how fast they could run, or even shifting gears on a manual car. It's just so much foot that the feet do, but we take for granted because it usually sits there quietly, listening to the brain when it demands it to work, and when it breaks down, all hell breaks loose. And that's where I learned a lot of my just basic at that time, at that age, basic mannerisms in terms of dealing with patients or clientele, which really I grew on as I grew up, getting into university. So it started at the age of 15.
Awesome. It's fascinating how a food could have so many things about it, so many details, and applications. And you're right, we take it for granted.
Yeah, for sure, and a lot of people they like the busy day yesterday. A lot of people go, "Oh, my feet's fine. I walk pretty fast." and when you look at their feet, there's a lot more to that. I can go for a whole day's worth explaining that, but there's so much. There's a lot to feet that a lot of people don't realize, Leon. It's amazing.
And you obviously noticed those things.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about your character that the doctor, the podiatrist, noticed. What would you say is your most marked characteristic?
I think it really matched him. He found it relatable that we're both enthusiastic. You know what it is? I think it was how he liked most was I think he did tell me what it was. When he had me in there, he wanted me to interact with the clients and patients as much. So when he finished off with the patient, I would walk them out and then invite the next person in, and he wouldn't be in their room. He'd just be around the corner listening to how I was. He told me this as feedback. He just liked the mannerisms for healthcare, as in being there socially. So I socially interacted with his clientele, who I've never met as a 15-year-old. He really liked the manner of how I and respected and dealt with his patients, wherever they may be, in a wheelchair, on crutches, or walking in high heels. It's just that kind of manner, which I think it's a lot to do with sympathy and empathy, as well as respect for strangers in a clinic.
Mm-hmm. And that's not common. That's great that you had those qualities at 15.
Yeah. I think it's a lot to do with mum and dad disciplining, hardcore disciplining, discipline.
You think so?
Oh yeah, massive. My parents, they had us on a system, which meant that if we saw them in the morning, you gotta say good morning. When you're sitting out at dinner, you wait for everyone to sit down and eat together. You don't start your food. It's just stuff like that. You always wait for the head of the family or the eldest person to eat first. Never open the door for someone. Just stuff like that. And there's a little bit of chivalry that the older, I hope my parents listen to this, but the older generation have passed on to us.
Right. Yeah. It's just good manners, right?
That's pretty much it.
And have you noticed that only in your family, or also you've noticed this in other families in Australia?
Not many. Oh, my mate's going to kill me this, but not many. Not many on a scale of what we do. Well, we were regimented. We if we did not do this, as in respectfully, when you get home, you are finished. It's just that kind of discipline. Yeah, just that kind of discipline that me and my dad, we have a laugh at it, and I thank him, really.
But back then, you didn't enjoy it, right? Some of the stuff that you,
of course not.
You experienced.
Of course not. But now I can say thanks.
Right. So you're saying it basically comes with the culture, Vietnamese culture, right? And their upbringing, the way they were brought up.
Yes, definitely,
right?
Definitely. It's I really appreciate it, and I thank my parents every day. Because I see them every day. So with the clinic, so they work with us in the clinic too. So it's a whole family thing. Yeah.
They come to clinic. They help you out in the clinic too.
Yeah. So mum actually ceased her work many years ago, and we didn't want her to be just homebody, just doing stuff at home. We wanted her to challenge her. She used to. I mean, that's why I'm taking the focus of my profession now in occupation. Mum coming over from Vietnam, coming to Australia. She worked different jobs, which was hardcore labor, and she finished up working as in a warehouse in manufacturing. She's putting together lights and lamps and big industrial lamps, and it's always on her feet, safety boots. The care wasn't there not because the company was poor, but because the research wasn't there yet. Just stuff like that, which is what we wanted mum to transition from standing physical hard work to now mentally engaging work, as in she's dealing with our books, she's doing our scheduling, she's a concierge, she hands out bottles of water. So that's the kind of mannerisms that we've scraped from our parents, and we've transferred it to clientele. Dad actually is upstairs in our building, and he's on the professionals level, which we have a solicitor and law firm upstairs. The whole concept of our company was to combine a multi-professional facility. So we have healthcare downstairs and professionals such as lawyers and immigration agents, as well as financial planners and accountants. And my dad operates upstairs in his room, his office, as a tutor, maths and English tutor, as well as that is also a interpreter, a translator from Vietnamese and French to English.
That's fantastic, man. Some families, or
Yeah.
most families, especially in the Western world,
Yes.
kids spread out, and they sometimes don't see their parents for years. It's a totally opposite of what you're describing right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and no, definitely right. I don't see anyone crazy enough to do it, but we've done it. We've done it.
and some of the things that you just mentioned, the discipline and upbringing, would you say that the reason is your parents were raised in a communist country? The reason I say it, because my parents were raised in a communist country, and I can relate to that. There's certain there was Russia, so USSR.
Yes.
I was
Right.
born in USSR, and then it fell apart in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So there's
Terrible to hear.
so
Yeah.
there's some discipline, sense of discipline, and certain manners that I was also taught by my parents, consciously or unconsciously. So I can relate to that. So do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. We come from first born immigrants. I bring up a point to, you must have heard of Gary Vaynerchuk.
Of course.
Yes, of course, he doesn't know him, right? And he says immigrants win. It's just a mindset. When you travel from war torn or terrible conflict, and you move over to a society where they accept you into their country, we at that time, we really appreciated it. My parents really appreciated the Prime Minister for opening the doors for the Vietnamese war torn refugees to come in. And yeah, it's just basically we're told to be grateful, and we have a different driving force, Leon. We just have to win because of our parents, and the stuff my parents have told me what they've gone through. I can't even just fathom how crazy it was to leave all your life and move to a bush, Australia, bush and kangaroos and koalas, to seek greener pastures. Even till now, we always reflect on how that generation came over. In Vietnamese, we call it Dai Trang, which is white hands, as in nothing. You have nothing in your hand, nothing in your pocket. You come with the clothes on your back, or whatever clothes you have left on you, and that's where life starts. And from there, you never forget that moment, and you have to fight to survive. It's a survivor mentality.
Exactly. Basically, starting from scratch. Back there in your country of origin, you probably had, just like my parents, you had a house, big garden, all those things, and then you have to leave those possessions and then start from scratch, from blank, and then do jobs that others are not willing to do, and also have this drive and be grateful. You said that keyword, grateful. The gratitude helps you to pushes you forward. The locals are not grateful for some of the things that already have. They take things for granted, but the immigrants, when they come and they start from scratch, and they're grateful for every single thing in their life.
Yeah, because it was all earned with sweat, heavy sweat, blood, sweat, and tears.
How is it working with your family? How is it what has been the biggest challenge or challenges with working with your sister and brother together? I'll make sure they don't listen to this podcast, so you can be
I want them to listen to it. They're gonna listen to your
you can
podcast.
be 100%
Um,
honest and transparent.
yeah, Leon, I think you have to find me a new office.
Yeah, I'll give you a witness
um,
protection program.
done, LA. I'm in. The biggest challenge is trying. What we have successfully, but not since we have to cut ties in terms of business ties with my parents, and we have to do things ourselves. Because if the parents are always involved in the decision making, sometimes it doesn't work or compatible with our ideas and ideology with the modern world. So that was a bigger challenge. Is trying to remove, no, not I shouldn't say that remove, didn't I? Is to separate ourselves from family and business. So the biggest part was mum and dad totally have a say in how we run things. But at the end of the time, they have to understand that we have to decide how the business is run, how the clinic is run, how everything from down to the who cleans the bins or who takes away the bins or who washes it closes up. We have to decide that as a collective sibling partnership, as opposed to having mum and dad sit in our board meetings, company meetings. It doesn't work that way. So the idea was to just be business. When you're in business, you're business. When you're family, we can punch each other and climb on each other, wrestle, and throw stuff at each other. That's cool, but that's family time. This is not business time. So that's the biggest, is separating family, especially my parents, separating them from the business.
Okay. The reason I'm asking, because I have known entrepreneurs who hired their mom, their sister, their brother, their family, family members, even cousins, and then later on weren't happy about the fact that they did, because family has a different attitude towards you. They've known you for a long time. They take you for granted, and sometimes they might not do the work completely, or there are situations that happen. But I'm happy to hear that you are making it work.
Yeah. And just to follow up on that, even our company logo, our office is called the Triumph Institute. We're on the Triumph Health Department, which is downstairs. Even down to the name and the logo. The name comes from Arc de Triomphe, which is in Paris. And it was just something that Dad always loved. And we pay a lot of homage to our parents, so we wanted to take that name and apply it to the office. Even the logo was taken from the Sydney Opera House. I'm sure you've seen the Sydney Opera House pictures of that.
Yeah.
While we had a family outing, there were 5 sails, and the concept came up. 5 sails representing mum, dad, brother, me, and my sister. So even down to that detail, was a sibling-only decision. So, yeah.
Very cool and very symbolic. It's very meaningful.
Very.
I'm sure meaning plays a big role in the way you do business, the way you run your, family and your life.
Massively.
Yeah, talking about life, what is your definition of a thriving life? Not just life that the person is surviving or getting by, but really thriving life.
Yeah, totally. Thriving life to me is about progress and growth, no matter what. So, for me, if I'm as a clinical podiatrist for closing on 10 years for now, sometimes it gets stagnant if you don't grow or trying to learn more, and you don't thrive on any challenge. If you just sit, the word comfortable annoys the hell out of me. If I'm too comfortable, I need to do something new. It just means it's getting too easy now. So for me, in terms of thriving, is to pursue things that not even anyone could do, such as doing a family business that we've done, or even challenge myself to do podiatry. It's always about progress. So What's next? I don't know. But right now, for me, it's the occupational health, podiatry, foot health for workers. That's my mission now. But I know I will fight tooth and nail for that. I know I'll win, but I don't know when it's going to be that time when I get to the finish line for that project. The next one will be thought of. I've got a ton list in my home office right now, a million things that I want to do. So I just close my eyes and throw a dart, and that's, for me, it's just pushing myself to the limits. Show me what I can really do, and believe me, I've got really close friends, and I'm sure Leon, for yourself too. A lot of friends and family who go, "No, don't be greedy. Don't be like that." No. It's not about that. It's just how I'm built to always test myself and push myself. If it means getting a result or doing something I've never done before, if it means I grow, then I thrive.
What are some of the things that you need in order to thrive on a typical day?
I'll give you 3 things. First one is have a plan. No, mindset. Get your mind right. Getting out of bed is hard enough already, but knowing why is important. Before my head hits the bed every night, I'm always making a list of things I need to do or things I want to do. If I need to make calls, I've got a stack load of emails to answer or whatever. I have it planned before my head hits the pillow that night. So combining mindset and combining a plan or a guide of what I need to do of tasks. And then the third one is just go 10x. Go, just take massive action. Don't be technical in terms of what you need to do. Go overboard and over deliver. Take immense energy, immense enthusiasm to complete the task, and just means that when your head hits the pillow at night, you know you did good that day.
How do you maintain your edge? Are there any books you read, or how do you educate yourself on a daily basis? How do you stay on top of your game?
So this is my morning routine. It always starts in the morning, and I always get upset when something disturbs the morning routine. But as soon as I step out of bed, it could be Gary, it could be Tony, it could be Grant plugging my ear when I'm brushing my teeth. It's just the start of the day. I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I'm doing my hair, whatever, whatever, and that's the mindset part. Sometimes I even get like 3 or 4 days a week. I get up at 5 to start my day, get my tasks ready. And I always start the first 10, 15 minutes is just get myself motivated. May it be reading a passage from an old book or reading the highlighted comments from my Kindle, or watching a YouTube video where, Grant's going to give me Grant or Gary's going to be a kick-ass kind of words of inspiration, or Tony Robbins going to say something interesting. That's how I start my day. I think the biggest thing is, after I've been motivated or inspired at that point in time, I get in the car, drive the wife and my daughter, drop my daughter off to school, wife at work, and then I park the car, walk to the cafe, which, if anyone follows me on Instagram know that I live in that cafe in the morning, and I always have to have my double espresso, my cold drip. That's how I start. Coffee is a big thing for me. And the tool that I use is my lovely iPad, my old aging iPad, and I reflect. I keep a war journal. So I always have to, if you can't think for yourself or can't talk to yourself, may it be talking in front of a mirror or recording yourself, it's like I've grown up writing in my diary or my journal, and it's just something that makes me feel a lot more at ease. Being able to talk to yourself and really know what the hell is on your mind, and because look, a lot of people perceive me as, hopefully perceive me as strong and never say die attitude. But sometimes, when you deal with someone, a patient, for example, passes away that you've known for a long time, or something goes wrong, or something doesn't go wrong or right, you need to be able to sit down. And the word I encourage everyone is reflect. You've got to reflect on your day, talk about your day to yourself, and then end it by saying something that you're going to do to stop that. And now when I sit there and I'm looking back a year's entry, so it could be War Journal 190 something or whatever. This time last year, I was reading it, oh my God, I did that. Grant, 2017 did that, and here I am whinging about this. I have to up my game and beat the other guy, beat the other Grant. So the most important thing for me is mindset, get a mindset, plan it, execute. Always, every morning.
Awesome. I forgot. I was listening to you and forgot the next question I had in mind. But
That's good.
But your accent, the Australian accent, is pretty good. I can understand you. When I was in college, I went to
Yes.
UC Irvine. One of my roommates was from Australia. He was a
Yes.
volleyball player, so he
Yes.
exchange student, And this one time, he brought to our apartment his coach and a couple other players. So his coach was straight from Australia, and then at this time we were watching TV, and his coach turns around to me and says something to me. I was like,
Yep.
"What?" And then he repeated it a couple times, and then my friend was like, "Hey, he's offering you a beer." I could not understand what he was saying.
Yeah. It's
I mean, he was talking
yeah.
English, but it's Australian accent, so totally different. I couldn't comprehend for some reason.
Yeah, many times I've spoken to a stranger or someone just called in and they just want to ask a question. And when they come in and they say, huh? No, you're not Grant. You're an Asian guy. Anyone's listening, I'm a Vietnamese fella, but
Uh-huh.
born here. So if you cut me, I will bleed green and gold Aussie colors.
Uh-huh.
My accent is very Australian. If I go back to Vietnam, which I have previously, they know that they'll always give me tourist price because when I speak Vietnamese, but Aussie accent comes through.
Right. Same thing with me when I go to
Yeah.
Armenia or Russia. I mean,
Yes.
I grew up in Russia, but I've been living in the United States for, over 12 years, 13 years. And somehow, there are some changes that took place.
Yeah.
Let's talk about podiatry. Very exciting
Yes.
topic, right? Talking about
Yes.
feet. I mean,
Yes. Definitely.
for you, it's very exciting, and it's going to be exciting for our listener. So feet are very important, obviously, because we use our feet for the entire day
Definitely.
for all kinds of things: running, walking, sitting, moving. It's important for men to buy quality shoes, recognize a quality shoe from bad shoes, and for women, how to buy high heels. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So when people go out to buy shoes, they have something specific in mind, and when they get to the shop, it's always dumbed down to budget and a look. So the cost and the look. And the thing is, people sometimes forget the purpose of a shoe. The shoe's there to support your movement. So if you were wearing high heels, for example, the purpose of that belittles the mind out of me. Why would a lady wear that? But I've learned to move on. But anyway, so when people buy shoes, the idea is not to buy based on budget or cost. So, for example, if a shoe does not fit you, but it is half price and you've always wanted it, don't buy it. It's not worth it. I mean, no matter what, you'll probably spend more money trying to fit stuff in to jam it up to make it fit, which is going to hurt your foot even more. But ideally, when you go buy shoes, I've done a video on 5 things you should do to check 5-step shoe check. Is to always make sure you know the purpose and whether it's good or not. Don't get me wrong, a El Cheapo shoe does not mean it's bad. An expensive shoe most likely is because of the brand, and so I'll probably say it's about 85% brand, 15% research, really. So a lot of my clientele, my patients, they, for example, get made 3D custom orthotics, which is our version of prescription glasses. When they go buy shoes, they always ask, do I need to buy an expensive shoe? No, you don't need to buy an expensive shoe. The idea is to buy the suitable shoe. And how we decide the suitable shoe is to look at what you need. So, for example, if you're a runner, then obviously buying a walking shoe is a no-no because a walking shoe is made heavier to absorb more shock as opposed to a running shoe. Because a running shoe, when you run, you don't put as much weight on your feet because your feet are kind of mid-air when you propel yourself in a run. So it's made differently. It's a lot lighter than a walking shoe. So you got to understand do your research. That's what I would say. Do your research. Know what you can afford. Know what features you need. So for example, in terms of the runner, if you are a sprinter, then you need that certain shoe. If you need a cross country or a long distance runner, then you need to know the certain features. So you got to do your research first, and then know the price that you're going to pay for, and don't buy based on the deal or purely on a deal or purely on look. For the high heels for men and ladies who wear high heels. Yeah, I'm still still considering why ladies do that. But yeah, it's look. I understand. Look, Leon, you and I are gentlemen, and we can appreciate a lady on a beautiful night. They're all dressed up to impress, and they got to wear a pair of heels to suit the dress because the color of the shoe has to suit their handbag and dress. Same as some men who wear high heels, and I get it. I'm not going to win that battle. Christian Louboutin already said it. If you find his shoes comfortable, there's something wrong with that. That's his actual quote, by the way. And so I get that some people have to wear a certain shoe to suit the look. I get it. But the idea is if you have to smash yourself in that and torture yourself in that kind of footwear, always have a contingency plan. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot to buying shoes. Did you want me to go through the features of buying a shoe?
Yeah, if we can go, basically, if we can arm our listener with some quick tips and advice.
Yes, sure. Everyone's listening, even you, Leon. Look at your shoe, your nearest shoe, and just pick it up. I'm holding an imaginary shoe in my hand right now. And there are 5 things. I've done this in a video on my YouTube channel, if you want to see it visually. It's a 5-step shoe check. And basically, you start from the toe box, is where the toes sit. Bend it up and down. If it's nice and flexible, that's good because your toes flex. That's how you propel forward during walking. The next one will be the heel. So you go towards the back of the shoe, which is the heel. I want you to give me a thumbs up and basically press down on the heel area, which is where your heel and Achilles sit in. That's what we call the heel counter. And basically, you kind of push it down. And if you push it down and it stays rigid, that's good. That's going to hold your heel and ankle very well. If it bends completely, those shoes are garbage. They don't support your heel or your Achilles at all. Very poor. Number 3 is obviously the laces or the Velcro strap, or how you secure yourself inside the shoe. So nowadays the fashions are moccasins and slip-on shoes. I'm okay with that. I've got a pair myself. It's just how you choose your weapon when you go out for the day. What kind of shoes you want to choose for the day. So I encourage laces or even a Velcro strap because that's the best way to hold your foot into the shoe. When it comes to the next step, which is number 4, is the tread on the shoe. So you want to look at the bottom of the shoe. Is the tread good? Are you going to slip in it? Are you going to run a mile or walk 100 miles an hour and then be safe from slipping? So in the case of high heels, that's going to fail miserably. And the last one, which is a very important part, is the midsole, or what I also call a shank. So good shoes always have a piece of hard material, just like the heel counter when you pressed it. That's there to hold the midsole or hold your arch. So what you do is, when you wash your face and you wring a towel just to wring all the water out, you're going to do the same thing for the shoe. So what I want you to do is grab your shoe, one hand holding the heel section and the other hand holding the toe section, and basically kind of twist the shoe in different directions. So forward and back, forward and back. If the shoe twists completely, easily, it is poor. If there's a bit of hardness or rigidness in it, that's a good shoe. So if I would apply that to a high heel, I guess it's going to fail miserably. If I would apply that to a pair of Converse shoes, a good example. Nothing on Converse, they're nice shoes. It's just that they fail the 5-step shoe check. Keep in mind, not all shoes can be perfect based on my opinion in terms of my 5-step shoe check. So I encourage at least score 3 out of 5. So, for example, a Converse Star Kicks, whatever these kids are wearing these days, same thing. If I was holding a pair of Converse shoes, which are the cool ones that go up to the ankle, flex the toes, they're usually flexible. That's good. Press down on the heel counter, that is completely soft. It will just bend too easily, so it won't hold your heel, will hold your Achilles very well. The laces, it's got laces, so that's a tick. The tread, maybe the tread is okay. I don't plan on, I don't think running on water or on a wet surface is not the best idea. And then give it a twist. Some pair of Converse actually are quite rigid. The outsole of a Converse shoe is quite good, but most of the time they're too soft. So will that shoe be okay? Yes. Would I walk a full 8-hour day on them? No. And it really comes down to my next point, is about choosing your weapon. And I don't mean weaponry in terms of weaponry. I mean weaponry as choose your equipment. When you go, if you're going to go out, okay. So here's what I recommend for footwear. Even down to thongs. We call it thongs here. You Americans are calling them flip flops, right? So what I would suggest in terms of time, duration of usage, I would say if you are wearing a thong or flip flop, wear that from 0 to about 1-2 hours maximum. If you're going to head to the shops or head to the beach, just for a short walk, I'm okay with that. High heels, that's another issue. High heels, all day walking is bananas, absolutely crazy. But if you have to wear it, fine. Wear your heels. I would say, for example, if you had a wedding, go do the pictures, go do the formal events and all that, or saying hi to people. But when you're at your desk or your wedding table or at the office, kick off the heels. You don't need to be in that position for that long. Kick off the heels. I got some patients there running around barefoot in the office. Do you know what I mean? Just take the time off. So I would say limit that to similar time to a thong or flip flop. 0 to 1-2 hours is enough torture for your feet. When it comes to like the Converse kicks and all that, I'd say probably good 3-4 hours in them is okay. Meet a friend, coffee, do a bit of shopping, do a bit of walking, running around to the bank and stuff like that. That's okay. All day movement, all day walking. You can't, without a doubt, you can't say no to athletic shoes, walking, cross trainers or running shoes, without a doubt. So it's basically before you walk out of the door, choose your footwear, weaponry. Which one do you want to do? What tasks do you want to do? Do you have to wear shoes all the time? No, I'm not saying that. But if you want to go to the beach, you want to wear some thongs just to get yourself from the car or the bus or train to the sand onto the water, I'm cool with that. I'm not being in terms of a dictator in terms of telling you how to wear shoes, but that's my guideline.
Awesome. And those, I mean, I'm in California and flip flops are everywhere.
Yes.
Especially on campuses, on university campuses.
Yes.
And then, of course, most women wear heels. That's kind of obvious. As far as the arch support, growing up, I was very young, and my dad used to make shoes. He had
lovely.
a small company in Russia, and he used to make shoes with his friends. And there's a long piece of metal that he used to, I remember, put in where the arch sits, and I think that was to support the arch.
Yeah, that's the simple way to call it, the shank of the shoe. And that's why the last one of my 5-step shoe check was the twisting part. The shank is a supportive structure between the inner sole and the outsole. So if it's nice and rigid, then it will give you a good support. Again, depending on the sport you want it to. Obviously, if a running shoe, the shank may not be as stiff. A walking shoe would be. A men's shoe would be. So yeah, that metal part was definitely for support.
Okay. And he used to, know how to pick shoes. He would go to the store, take us with him, and pick the shoes with him. I
That's good. That's good, Leo. Send me a picture of your feet, mate. Love to see what it looks like.
Now, pretty healthy. I think I wouldn't never know. I haven't been to a podiatrist, but I ran a finished marathon last year here in LA.
Congratulations! I saw your Instagram. Congratulations.
Thank you. And right now, my chiropractor recommended wearing certain types of shoes. I forget the name.
Yep. Minimalist.
Well, right now I wear these are called barefoot. Vivo barefoot. You probably heard of these. This is based of
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
UK, and the ones I bought, these are black leather shoes that you can basically roll the shoe up, and it's very flexible. It's like being barefoot, and it has a wide toe that doesn't crush the toe, and feels super comfortable. I can wear it with a suit. I can wear it with khakis, with casual wear. It's super cool. And do you have anything to add to that regarding those shoes?
Yeah. Did you run the marathon in those?
No. I ran marathon. For marathon, I prepared. I did my research. I actually went to a running store
Yep.
here in Los Feliz. They actually looked at my gait, kind of measured me, looked at me walking, sitting down, and then I tested three different pairs,
Yep.
and then one of them was good, and I
Yep.
went with those. Those were Asics.
No, yeah, lovely shoe. Again, you're paying for it, but you're paying for the brand, and Asics puts a lot of research. So I love those shoes. I have them in my office too. So they're very good shoes. Down to the barefoot stuff, a lot of podiatrists cringe,
Mm-hmm.
cringe when it comes down to running barefoot.
Oh no.
I love it. I love the concept. I love the idea. The Vivo and the Vibrams there, and the 5-finger kind of shoes where it's like a glove. Hey, if you love them, do it. But if you want to run barefoot, they take that idea from I think it was the American Indians. They used to run barefoot. They used to cover their feet with animal skin. Don't quote me on that. I'm just on top of my head. And they ran for miles and miles and miles in those. That's cool because at that point in time, I don't think there was asphalt, concrete, tiles, timber, was there? It was all just dirt, grass, sand, all natural, Mother Nature kind of surfaces. So if some podiatrists think different from me, that's cool. Some podiatrists believe that barefoot everything is good. For me personally, imagine yourself running, whether it be sprinting or long distance running. How you position your foot when it hits the ground, the hard ground with no rebound at all, you're going to cause immense shock to the very strong but very fragile structure of the foot. Because, look, compared to the hamstring or the glutes, or even to the pectoral muscle of the chest, there's a lot more massive muscular structures in that big mass areas. The feet have to absorb all that shock. Your body weight, your smartwatch, and your headband or whatever, they have to absorb whatever shock you smash it against for whatever distance you run. So 11, 12, 42, 21K, half marathon, full marathon, whatever. You're demanding a lot of shock on that area, and most of the time, and this is something again I want to be interactive in this podcast or talking to you. Is besides a shoe check, there's also something you can do too. I guarantee you, if we took all our shoes off, if we went out for a run, I guarantee you will not drop your heel on the ground. Purely because your body recognizes that the heel has very limited padding or shock absorption. It's got fat to absorb shock, but there is limited cushioning, as in soft tissue, human cushioning around the heel, as compared to the ball of the foot, which has more padding, more structures in there. So if you're going to run barefoot or run more like barefoot in a barefoot kind of footwear, you are most likely going to have to spend time on the ball of your foot as opposed to the heel of your foot. So for those who don't know how to run, and please don't hate me for that, some people just think running is running. Oh man, Leon, there's a massive amount of information we could talk about running in terms of how you strike the ground. Are you a heeler? Are you a mid-footer, or are you a four-footer? That's the kind of thing we have to say. So back to what you were saying about the barefoot shoes. I hate them personally. Personally, I hate them if you're running on man-made surfaces. But if you are planning on doing a forest run, a beach run, which obviously I don't know what beach is like in where you are, but you might find some sharp, dangerous objects in the beach. So having a surface like that is ideal. Um, but I do not recommend running with barefoot, one of those bare footwear, kind of minimalist footwear on hard ground. In actual fact, I think the medical association, Podiatric Medical Association, or one of the bodies, I think in America, actually took those companies to court, claiming that the benefits of the barefoot footwear was actually good for the feet. Yeah, so definitely do not agree on barefoot running on concrete. I agree with training on concrete, so getting kids to walk on different obstacles on barefoot on hard ground. I get that, that's good, but not if you're looking to run the sport of running in those shoes.
Right. Walking is fine, right? In barefoot shoes.
It's again comes down to what do you need it for when you step outside the door to go out. If you want to go for a walk, nice leisurely, low pace walk, yeah, it's okay. Could you aim for grass? Could you aim for human? Look, basically, hard ground equals to running, walking, athletic shoe. Barefoot footwear, nature. So if you want to go, if you really love your minimalist footwear, then aim your minimalist footwear for natural surfaces. So it could be your parks, grass, yeah, it's just stuff like that. Sand. You're at the beach, run on the beach with barefoot if you want to. If you get blisters, for example, on sand blisters, then wear your minimalist footwear. But I don't advise really doing a lot of walking, or look, just out to the shops and just doing recreational stuff. I'm okay with, but don't demand your body to impact the foot that much on hard floor.
Right, and you're absolutely right regarding how much detail there is in running and different techniques. Preparing for the marathon, I wanted to do everything possible to decrease the possibility of having an injury and increase my chances of not thinking about the technical part. Basically, I wanted to have the best shoes. I wanted to learn the best technique, both the running technique and the breathing technique. I wanted to make sure I know what I need to eat and when, how often, what kind of clothing to wear so it doesn't rub too much, all those things. I wanted to make sure that while running, I'm not thinking about those things. Those things are taken care of, so I can focus on just running, just the mindset, and just going, and running. So you're absolutely right, and I had to learn how to run, properly, or closer to the proper way of running. I had to pace myself. I had to get a GPS watch to kind of pace myself and find out where I'm at and where I need to be, basically, as far as the goals. You mentioned something about injuries. So talking about barefoot shoes, my current shoes, my favorite shoes right now are from Vivo Barefoot. These are not the ones that have 5 fingers. These are basically regular shoes, and they happen to have the thinner than normal sole, or it's a bit different, in a wider toe box. So let's talk about injuries, because if one runs on concrete in barefoot wear, and there was this lady, when I was buying another set of I think I was buying either shorts, I was buying maybe specialized socks, because the socks I wore while running now, those are made of acrylic, so you don't sweat that much at all. I mean, I was surprised, and this lady comes in, and she was planning to run a marathon in like this flip-flop looking shoes.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it was ridiculous, but and crazy. And it wasn't just me who noticed that it was a crazy idea. The salespeople were like, surprised that even could be one of the ideas she had. So that was interesting. Hopefully she didn't, because running on
Hopefully
concrete.
not. Hopefully not.
So injuries that can cause, because it's not just the foot. Once you put the foot, you hit with the foot, the concrete. There are some things that other parts of the body, can be injured. Let's talk about that, and what can improper walking, improper type of shoes, what kind of injuries can it cause, and how to avoid those.
If we want to focus on, for example, walking first, preventing or minimizing the severity of injury is understanding how you walk. So may it be going to a specialist. So I'd say the different tiers of how you want to do it, different levels. If you want to go for the basic level, then you can always, film yourself walking and try to see how you're walking. A lot of people do it in the gym where I go to. I encourage it. Film yourself. I know it sounds a bit a bit odd to do, but a lot of people do it. Know how whatever lines that you are running or walking, know how you are doing it. Next step would be like a running store, especially running store like yourself, like you went to, Leon. Get that checked out, and above all, the best and only place you should go for lower limb structure is go to a biomechanically focused podiatrist. Some podiatrists, they choose to do just what we call high risk, which they do more like amputations and cutting off feet and stuff like that. More serious cases where you might lose the foot. That's called high risk foot clinic. High risk feet foot specialty. There are some that just do just general care, just looking after feet, just much like a dentist going in for a clean. And then there are some, such as myself, we focus on the physics and mechanics of the body. And you really need to seek out a podiatrist who specializes, understands how the muscles, the joints work properly. And research always changes. So we have our own ideologies of the perfect walk. Do we ever get it? No. But it's how we can adapt whoever comes into the office, how we assess their walking. So, for example, for me, I use one of my cameras. We do it at a high frame rate, and we slow down. If it runs out, I just use my phone. You can use your phone to check how you walk, and basically use the slow motion option on your camera. Yeah, feature on the camera. For example, if I use a more technical one on my SLR, we go for a high frame rate. For a phone, which is probably sometimes a lot quicker and easier, just slow it down. And that's important because sometimes people are not aware of how they walk, and I think they walk fine without feedback from the feet, which is pain. So they assume that everything is right. So I would have to say, no matter what, whether or not you see a podiatrist ever for foot pain, I would say if you are picking up a sport such as cycling, running, walking, or cross training, something like that, it's best to get the feet checked out fine first, and then maybe discover exercises that you can apply to so that you can ensure your performance. So it doesn't mean that you walk out your podiatrist shelling out loads and loads of money buying stuff that you didn't like in the first place. It doesn't always have to be that way. It's an option for you to take. If you don't like it, don't do it. And I actually want to start us off the way back when we started off, Leon, is to understand the feet first. Understand that you are a car. If it's the best way, because people understand feet. People understand cars. Now,
right.
You are a car. So I'm going to use you example, Leon. You're a car. Not a bomb. You're a Ferrari. Okay? You're a Ferrari.
Thank you.
And I look at you as a red one. Based on Mother Russia, right? A red Ferrari. So red Ferrari. If you had a red Ferrari, and I'm sure you do, maybe have a red Ferrari, you would look after that beautiful machinery. You would polish it and take care of it. You wouldn't want to go through the mud or rain with it. That's what we don't have. That's what I call the precious mentality. We don't see our feet as precious. Some do, rarely do. Sorry. So the idea is the concept of the Ferrari or the car. If, for example, I'm getting back to my point. Don't worry. if I'm going from A to B, so if I'm going whatever distance I'm going, so it could be like a 4-hour drive. If the first scenario is I want to go from A to B on the 4-hour drive, that's fine. You will still press the accelerator no matter what to get to A to B. In this scenario, your 4 tires on your car are uneven. You have not taken the car to the mechanic to get it serviced. The oil is out. The mechanics, the suspension is worn. The brake pads are worn. And the 2 rear tires are flat. And the first one is not pumped up, but the one on the driver's side is fully pumped. That is a malaligned vehicle, a malaligned being. But if it goes from A to B on a full tank of petrol, you slam the accelerator, it will still go the speed, 110 here in Australia, 110 kilometers an hour. It will still go the distance. You will get to the B. And B means that, I got there, but I'll have more wear and tear. I'll have used more petrol. Now, in scenario 2, which is the ideal situation, is you have a big 4-hour drive coming up, or a big event, or big sport, whatever. You take the vehicle, because you love your Ferrari, you take your Ferrari to the mechanic. All right, Mr. Mechanic or Mrs. Mechanic, I want my car to be serviced and checked, make sure it's prime condition to go from A to B on my epic 4-hour drive, whatever, right? So mechanic will check it. They might suggest new tires because 2 of the tires are flat. And this is when I say flat tires, I mean that flat feet, which I hope a lot of people know about. Flat tires on a car is detrimental to the vehicle because it's uneven. Your car's system mechanics will wear out quickly, ridiculously quick. But if you take it to the mechanic first, they will check it, they will look after it, they will prep the vehicle for your 4-hour drive. So when you get from A to B, the B side, when you get to the B, refreshed, happy to get there, you will know that you have used less petrol and less wear and tear purely because your vehicle, your Ferrari, was in peak condition to get to A to B, as opposed to scenario 1, which is what majority of people in society who does not know what a podiatrist is and just starts an activity like says running or walking or gym, they just jump in because that's what YouTube says, that's what newspapers and magazines and the movie stars do. They don't realize that if you're expecting to run a marathon, but you've got 2 abnormal feet, the left foot rolls in excessively flat, and while the other one compensates for that flat foot, you are basically running on a flat tire and a pumped up tire. What do you think is going to happen when you reach 42 kilometers with that kind of feet? Oh, my knees are shot. But because you think it's normal, because a lot of people come out of a 42 marathon sore, they just think pain is normal and they let that sit there for too long. And then it could be a fracture, it could be a strain, it could be a sprain. So it's just about understanding that concept first, seeing the mechanic. Hence my Instagram name is the foot mechanic, because you got to understand that you are a car and you need to have your car checked, as in you have to get checked in terms of posture and how functionality of your body. Is it suitable for that sport? Yes or no? The podiatrist, but the biomechanical focused podiatrist will tell you what you need to do to get there.
Wow.
Yeah. So, well, I feel a bit lightheaded from that. But yeah, that's in my day off today. That's what I'd say every single time I sit down with a client. I don't do 15, 10-minute, 2-minute appointments anymore. I do 45 to an hour. I sit there and make sure I shake you enough you understand the concept. Because once you understand the concept, what's that going to do? You're going to go sit down with your family and friends and go, oh my God, the psychotic podiatrist, he spat on me several times, but he said I was a Ferrari. That's the most important thing they got out of it. And you got to treat yourself like a precious Ferrari. And you say, what's the best advice, or how can we prevent injury or minimize injury, is to take your body, your brain, your feet, your footwear, your x-rays, whatever, to the nearest specialist in terms of biomechanics, which is the study of human movement. Take that and get them to understand. Yes, you may pay whatever fee it is to do that, but if it means that you save money on knee operations would cost like 20, 40 grand, heel spur operations or bunion operations. It's worth it. It's a small price to pay to prevent the big payment.
What are some of the most common foot problems?
Top 5 would be number 1, heel pain. Heel pain all day, heel pain. Everyone walks in with the same symptoms. Pain in the morning, getting out of bed. It's always heel pain. Number 2 would have to be ingrown toenails.
Mm-hmm.
So people not cutting their toenails correctly, or they inflict their big toe or whatever toes to trauma. Wearing tight shoes can affect that. Number 3 would be ball of foot pain. So pain where the toes or the fat pad before the toes. Number 4 would be the general arch pain, arch and flat foot pain. And number 5 would have to be, in terms of the foot, would be Achilles tendonitis. So pain or soreness around the back of the heel where the calf muscle joins onto the Achilles, onto the heel bone. That's very inflamed.
Can we really quickly go over those 5 and give our listener some possible causes?
Yeah, sure. So if I were to do based on the 5, we'll start off with the heel pain. Well, heel pain is caused by a combination of, so exactly what the Ferrari, to the story I told you before, the concept,
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly where it applies. Heel pain happens because you have poor foot mechanics and your lifestyle is not good. So, for example, if you wear a lot of high heels and you have flat feet already, then you're really asking the heel bone to be subjected to a lot of pressure. Or if you, for example, work in a warehouse standing all day, then you're subjecting your feet to immense time on your heel, and that causes a lot of strain. And you strain a lot of the 2 main structures of the heel bone, which is the plantar fascia, which is the little. If you touch your foot now, in the arch and the heel, it's always a soft band. That's the plantar fascia, which connects straight from the heel to the toes, as well as the Achilles, which is behind your calf. Those 2 cause the heel pain if you don't look after yourself. So heel pain is a result of poor lifestyle, poor footwear, poor foot posture, leading a poor lifestyle of no care, no maintenance. Number 2 is ingrown toenails. Straight off what I said before was poor cutting of nails, or it is a bit associated with a bit of hereditary traits, but most of the time it's a result of external forces such as bad cutting or trauma. Ingrown toenails, the one thing that podiatrists cringe ever, if you want me to cringe, if I ever see you and you make me cringe, don't ever use the word hack. I've hacked into it. I've cut into it myself. I just get irritated because, man, you just made it a whole lot harder to get it out. So ingrown toenails, they're basically a corner of the nail is what. So what if you look at your finger or toenail now, what you see is not what your nail is. There's more to it. So if you're an ingrown toenail, your nail as it is looking down, looking at your toes or fingers now, that's what it looks like from the surface. But if you added another millimeter or 3 or 4 millimeters, half a centimeter onto that nail, then that nail is growing into your skin, stabbing you like a knife. If you really think that you could get a knife, trust me, this is real. I've had people do this. A cutting knife or a nail clipper and try and dig in and bleed and think that's going to do it, or cut a V into the nail, you are mistaken. That is a straight off, take it to a podiatrist, for heaven's sake, podiatrist, and get it maintained to, or if it's really bad, it may have to be surgically removed. Number 3, ball of foot pain. Ball of foot pain, the general term is metatarsalgia, it's a group of conditions. So it could be a lot of things. It could be a fracture of one of the bones in the midfoot, where the toes are, just before the toes. It could be swelling of a nerve between joints because poor mechanics, poor posture that you walk on. It could be a simple thing, come down to like a hard callus or hard corn, which is a very basic thing, a very easy thing to do. Again, ideally you can't really do yourself. Unfortunately, you can go see your local GP for anti-inflammatories and pain medication, but ideally you're not really not really doing anything to stop that pain. So again, I don't want to sound like I'm plugging the profession, but you got to see a foot specialist for that. What was I up to? Number 4, arch pain. Again, that's related to the heel. If you're a flat footer or a high archer, if your foot's in a high arch position a lot, so if you're wearing high heels a lot, then you are demanding your whole body weight. Could be 4 to 6 times your body weight, or 1.5 times, depending on how tall, what body shape you are. Could be 1.5 to 4 times your body weight when you walk on the feet. And if you're wearing high heels, for example, you're demanding your whole body to sit on that foot, putting pressure on that band. That band in the arch is like a piece of elastic, and you're asking for a tear. Arch pain is basically the little band in your foot arch being overworked, overstrained. So it also works on you if you're a flat foot too. You're basically asking that elastic structure to overstretch. And what happens when you overstretch an elastic band? It snaps. So you're just overworking that band. Best thing to do, this is a good thing for heel pain too. I want to advise it, is to get a ball, a tennis ball, and put on the floor, sit on your chair, and put your foot on top, and put a bit of pressure on your foot, on the ball, and just roll it from toes to heel. Just a massage. I do it a little arch massage for that band. You can do that. You should do that anyway, daily, by the way. But if you're in pain, best thing to do is use a ball first, and go see a podiatrist, and I would advise icing the foot, but because I don't want to give exact medical advice on this chat, because I'm afraid people will go do it and they might hurt themselves. So the tennis ball is usually a good way to start. And the last one is Achilles tendonitis. That's when you got swelling or soreness around the connection of the calf muscle to the little tendon that connects to the heel. And that always comes down to how you walk. So a lot of ladies get that, or men who wear high heels, they get that a lot, overstraining that Achilles. And once you overstrain it because of, again, poor lifestyle, you may wear heels too much, or you might stand too much at work, and poor foot posture, you can overstrain the Achilles, which is behind the heel, excessively, and it causes irritation, it leads to a lot of pain all the time. So those are my top 5 conditions I see in the clinic, and just a rough explanation of each, as you requested, Leon.
Which is great. This is so valuable. This is like a master class.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
What are some of the most common questions that you hear as a podiatrist, of people coming into your office, or the everyday, typical day as you walk around or hang out at the cafe, someone finds out you're a podiatrist?
Yeah. First one is, are my shoes okay? Oh, don't look at my shoes, okay? The biggest one is, are my feet flat? Oh, my kid's foot's flat, or my kid's walking, duck walking or pigeon-toed. Oh, is that true? That comes down to age. If the child is under 4, under 3, that's just a monitoring method. So we just make sure the kid's developing well. Another one is my feet are fine. My feet are fine. There's nothing wrong with my feet. So just check it just in case. And we find a whole chunk of things happening. Those are my top 2 questions. Top 2 questions is, are my feet flat? And definitely down with kids. A lot of parents in my social circle, they always ask about their children, whether their kids are walking wrong or right. It's a lot to go through. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And are you saying most people think that their feet are fine, but really, if they come to a podiatrist, they're not really fine? You will always find something that could be improved?
Yeah, there's actually, fun enough, there's actually a podiatrist association. We actually had a T-shirt. Someone's actually selling T-shirts saying, podiatrists find things that you cannot see. And basically, if you lived on a tropical island, if you lived in Fiji or Bahamas, and you walked on soft sand, eating fresh fruit, eating fresh fish, walking in water and sand and grass and dirt and all that, I love you. Your feet. If I open a clinic there, I would be broke. It would not fathom. The business would fail. Here, because we all walk on man-made surfaces, you are bound to have a foot problem. It's just how the steps to go see a podiatrist is the trick. Because not many people know who we are. Some even GP, general practitioners, some medical practitioners don't even know who we are. Don't even know, didn't think about foot health. So there was always something down to a biomechanical point. There's something always not 100% to the body. It's like a car. We got to throw away old mentality. You got to think it like a car. Your car, when you rolls out of the shop, brand spanking new, it may not be functioning well. But if you take it to the shop, yes, sometimes the mechanic goes, "Oh, look, Leon, you need this and need this. Oh, do I need it? Do I really need it? Oh, no, you can do it if you want, but it's optional." Again, I go relate to a car. You can't think of it just as simple as, "Oh, my feet are fine because there's no issue." If that light comes on in your Ferrari, but then you start the car up next day, it's gone. You go, "Oh, great, I don't have to worry about it." Same with feet. If my feet hurt, just ache after a big walk in the city, for example, but the next day it's okay, I'm good. I'm really good. But it really comes down to feedback. Your eyes, your ears, your taste, that gives you direct feedback. If you cannot see that day, you panic and you go see someone straight away. Hearing, same thing. When it comes to feet or knees, if it starts to hurt or ache, we'll just rub some oil on it and it should feel fine. Yeah. It's a lot more to that. And a lot of people living in the man-made worlds, as in where you are and where I am now, you are bound to have something not right biomechanically. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the ways to combat smelly feet?
Yeah. Do you have smelly feet, Leon?
No, I don't.
This is your question, right? Yeah, Leon.
I actually saw some the video content that you created.
Oh, nice.
When I was doing research, might be one of the problems. And I also, when we tackle this, you can go ahead and volunteer some of the problems that you think the general public is having, that our listener might know someone who has problems like that as well.
Yeah, so to address the smelly feet is what we call bromohydrosis. So that's like the cheesy smell. So that happens when excessive sweat pools, especially between the toes. That's where the essence of the smelly feet come from. It's just like your armpits or groin. Those areas are always closed up in dark, dim shirts and clothing. So they're always in a lot of hot, humid places. So basically, to transition from a smelly feet to a itchy fungal foot is basically the development of bacteria and fungus and viruses in between the toes and the whole bottom of the foot. So the idea is to combat the smelly feet by doing what you do for the armpits. So you put deodorant on, you clean your feet with water and soap and blah, blah, blah. But make sure you dry between the toes. The toes is the most closed part of the foot, is the only closed part of the foot, sorry. And as a result, you're forming a lot of heat and humidity between that spot. So always got to make sure to dry that area. Number two, I would definitely advise using a anti-stringent, which is basically something to dry out the feet. So you can use, what we use here is methylated spirits from the pharmacy. They sell that. You can spray it on that. For me, I personally like to use a foot spray. So much like a armpit deodorant or deodorant in general, you can get one for the feet, and you can get it from the nearest pharmacy. And you spray between the toes. It's like putting on baby powder or foot powder, and it just absorbs, wicks away any wetness in between the toes. For those who don't want to use a spray and want to use a foot powder, don't. If you want to buy specialist foot powder on the shelf of the pharmacy, you might be getting ripped off, because baby powder is the exact same thing and does the exact same job for at least like 80% of the price, cheaper. So I would say do these things: clean your feet, dry them properly, spray your feet, use talcum powder. And the last one is to get all your footwear once or twice a week. Get all your footwear, take out whatever insoles, open up the laces, open up your shoe, leave it inside the shade. Don't ever leave shoes in the sun, because they'll ruin the material. And just get one of the antibacterial sprays that you get for the a smelly toilet or something. Just give it a quick spray, not too close, just a light spray, just from top to bottom, inside the insole. The idea behind that is to stop any fungus or fungus or bacteria development inside the shoe. So you're trying to killing all that by doing that.
I for example, when I used to go to 24-hour fitness, or we have a chain of gyms here.
Yep.
Basically a general public gym.
Yes.
People, when they go into the shower they're not wearing any flip-flops, and I think that's not safe. Not because they could slip and fall, but also because there might be fungi on the floor from other people.
Yeah, definitely. Fungus is the least of your worries in that setting. It's viruses, warts is the biggest risk there. It's one of the, like, as a podiatrist and a hygienic kind of guy, I hate seeing people walk barefoot in the gym. Is in a gym setting, right? But here in Sydney, I've seen people at the famous Bondi Beach going barefoot from the beach into the toilets, into the public toilet. Yeah. Into public toilets. It's all soggy. You know when you walk with flip-flops or your thongs, it is moist in there. The floor is moist. And you want to take your bare skin barefoot into that setting. Oh, man.
Who would do that? No. That's a no-no.
Believe me. So my friends hate me for doing this, but even if I go to a water park, we have a Wet n Wild here. I refuse to go. I will go someday. It looks fun. But if I go, I will put my fishing reef shoes on, which is kind of like the Vibrams, the little minimalist shoe, just to cover on your feet. Because the biggest thing I see in my clinic when it comes to those people who walk barefoot are warts, plantar warts. So most likely to get that is kids, for example, who they go learning swimming classes. They go barefoot on the public pool's floor, barefoot. So some people harbor that virus, and it sits on your dead skin of your foot. When it falls off, and dead skin cells on the pool surface or the beach or the gym surface, if you step on that, like if you caught the flu and someone coughed on you or sneezed on you, you pass the virus over via tactile contact. So most likely the warts and fungus are the two highest risks for that. And if you want to walk barefoot on these public surfaces, you're not my friend. You're not my friend. I will do a story. Just like you, I was in the gym too, and I forgot my thong. Always shower with thongs, people. Always shower with thongs in public places. I forgot my thongs, and I really needed to shower because I had to go to work after. So what did? I took my expensive gym Nikes into the shower, and I destroyed them. In the shower. They were all soggy and wet. It was, when the Nike Plus came out, where it was one of the first GPS kind of, it can measure your steps.
Uh-huh.
I had the first line of those shoes, and they were destroyed. They were like 260, and they were destroyed.
Wow.
And because it was a big workout, Leon. I could not go to the office like that. So yeah, goodbye shoes.
Man, that's big. I've done that, but with a cheaper shoes, with regular, shoes. But yeah, that's commitment. And
oh yeah, definitely.
What is warts?
Warts, technical term is verruca pedis. Warts is it's just a virus that much like, for example, cold sores, that people get cold sores on their cheek, or even down to herpes. It's the same kind of virus strain that people get. In terms of the feet, you get warts on your feet, and it's basically a virus lesion that sits on your feet. It's actually alive. Yeah. Just to keep it straight off like that. Yeah, it's. I remember trying to remove one or cutting one, and it basically is alive. It's a virus is alive. It's actually an organism that sits on your skin and lives there and has a family there. So can you kind of guess where I'm going at? It's very hard to treat. It is a virus, and it can be very frustrating to remove.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, for example, some medicos, they use liquid nitrogen to remove it. For me, I use sometimes severe cases. We do a little surgical procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, off the shelf, basic wart acid medication is suitable. Yeah.
You mentioned that you would wear some kind of sandals or flip flops when you go to the water world, right? When I was first learning sailing on a small boat, I don't know if you've seen those, one main sheet and then one jib.
Yep.
It's easier to, you're not supposed to. It's not good to be barefoot, basically. I mean, you could,
Yep.
but it's not. It's going to be slippery. It's better to be in shoes, and the best would be to wear water shoes. These are,
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar with water shoes.
Yep.
When you talked about the water world, I imagine those type of shoes, because that's the type of shoes that I used to wear when I was learning how to sail.
Yep. Totally agree. It's to save you from slipping, as opposed to barefoot. So yeah. So those kind of footwear would be highly, highly, highly advised.
Right, and me being I don't know if it's called anal retentive, not that much, but I like to do things properly. Like, everything has its methodology, and I'd like to, if I'm doing something such as running a marathon or any other things, or even like
Yep.
smoking a cigar,
Yep.
I would like
Lovely.
to do everything properly.
Yes. Totally agree. Good on you. And just for going back on the wart thing, if it just to scare you, just to freak you out even more, using health scare tactics. If you don't cover your feet up in public places, you can get the virus, which is pretty much similar to an STI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's sexually transmitted disease. So that same virus you can get as genital warts and so forth. So if you really want something like that on your foot, then you go barefoot on public places. But for the heavens of those who like a thriving life, please put on some sort of barrier, some sort of footwear on your feet, because once you have a wart and it's a stubborn one, where we're doing conservative methods with no surgical procedure yet, you have to basically cover your foot up everywhere in the house. You shower with in a family home setting, you cannot go barefoot, because you can transfer the wart virus to other people in the family. That's how contactable. Is it very quick transmission? No. But do you want to risk the chances? Probably not.
You're right. We want a thriving life. We don't want thriving viruses. Right?
Oh, yeah. This is good. Yeah, exactly right. You got that right.
That's absolutely disgusting when you describe like some of the people going to the bathroom. That's unimaginable to me. That's
Yeah, mental picture. I've taken a mental picture of that. Gross. Yeah, look, I'm Vietnamese for everyone's like, we live in thongs. We live on thongs. We put our shoes, we always take off our shoes at the front door. We never bring dirty street shoes into the house, ever. As a podiatrist and what I deal with, no, shoes always sit outside or in my garage, and it's always transferred onto thongs, flip-flops. So yeah, I love flip-flops, but don't think you can wear that for 8 hours a day and think your feet are comfortable.
Are there any other tips you can think of in order to improve our listeners' foot health?
Well, first point is be proactive. It doesn't mean you have to go see a podiatrist. It doesn't have to go see your GP. Be proactive. When it comes to, I'm just going to break down that advice. If you're for a recreational athlete, you like to exercise, that's cool. You got to have a proactive plan afterwards, is what I call the rehab plan afterwards. I ask PTs and all these trainers, I go, okay, you train 6 days, you're lifting heavy, that's great, but what's your rehab? And they always give me a puzzled look. What do you mean by rehab? Rehab is important because if you move excessively for work, rest, or play, whatever you do in your lifestyle, you are basically engaging your muscles. And if you want to prevent future pain, suffering, as you get older, you have to look at the muscles, because muscles are the first step of your body in terms of what gets injured first. So how I break it down is muscle, level 1, joint, level 2, level 3 is joint disease, bone disease. Okay. So if I were to give the biggest advice for anyone listening to this, is look after step 1. Always be in step 1. Look after your muscles, because if your muscles are excessively tight, then that will dictate how your joints wear. And if you don't take care, if you don't take action and be proactive in taking care of your health, and you leave it too long and you wait for being reactive, as in when something goes bad, you will get to the latter stages of joint disease and bone disease. And that's when you're stuffed. And you look at your grandparents or anyone older, they always say to you, "Oh, don't get old, sonny, because it's terrible." No, it's terrible because back in that day, no one took care of themselves. They worked their butts off to the death every single day to earn their money or quid. As a result, their bodies are thrashed. Again, we relate this down to Ferrari. Would you drive your Ferrari for a whole week, every day, 10 hours a day without taking care of it? Of course not. So when it comes back to taking care of yourself, your feet first, is look after the muscles. And that means go to a yoga session. If you don't want to see practice, if you haven't got the budget or you don't want to spend too much money on the health practice, that's fine, really. Go do some yoga. It's a good fun. It activates all 3 aspects of health. Mentally, you're relaxing. Socially, you're communicating with other group members. And physically, you're stretching yourself out. I love yoga. And the next one is swimming. Hey, I hate swimming pools, but if you have to swim, go to a swimming pool. I'm blessed being in Sydney. We got loads of beaches. So on a Sunday once a month, I'm going this weekend. We go do sand dune running on the sand, and we go for a 6 a.m. dip in the ocean. And it's just stimulating for the body, and it aids in recovery. That's why I highly advise for anyone who doesn't want to see a health practitioner, wants to do things on the DIY style, is have a rehab plan for whatever work you do. If you sit in the office all day, then you do a lot of stretching for your back muscles because you're sitting down all day. If you are a stander at work, do a lot more front muscle stretching because all that posture of standing uses a lot of the back muscles. You got to even out the muscle part of your body. So again, look after the muscles. How? Do yoga. Pilates, throw Pilates in there. Great. Swim. Those are my top tips for that. And in terms of feet specific, always have that tennis ball for your arches. Stretch your calves. I've done a few videos where I demonstrate the calf wall stretch. I can't demonstrate on a podcast. So
okay,
yeah. So stretch the calf. Those calves, I guarantee you, everyone's got a condition I have yet to patent. It's called tight ass syndrome. And it's not Australia. We call tight ass people as in one who are very stingy, don't want to pay for anything, very very tight in the money. I'm not sure what you have in America, but I call it tight ass syndrome. It has nothing to do with your wallet. It's about the path of the backside of your leg. So the backside of your foot most likely is going to be tight because most of us are flat-footed or not enough arches. The calf muscle, which is back of your leg, is tight, and the back of your thigh, the hamstring, is going to be tight. Your glutes, your bum muscle is going to be tight, and that leads to lower back pain. So that's the whole path. So avoid tight ass syndrome or muscles by completing a calf wall stretch, which I don't know how we're going to work this, but I might demonstrate somehow. I don't know. Calf wall stretch, roll the arches of your foot, and a special one for those who wear really tight shoes, but probably you, Leon, with your fashion, right? Is get a rubber band or a hair tie, put it around your toes, all 5 of your toes, and basically use that as a little resistance training and spread your toes out and hold it there for a stretch. Can you kind of imagine that, Leon? Yeah, so you're basically working the inner and outer sides of your toe muscles, give them a bit of a stretch, and then contract, open up, contract. That's a good way. So those 3 exercises I get you to do for foot specifically: calf stretch, roll the arches with the ball, tennis ball, not a golf ball, tennis ball, and then use the hair tie to stretch out your toes.
Excellent. Excellent. This is great. I love it. If the listener wants to contact you, ask questions, what's the best way to do it?
Good question. I'm very active on YouTube and Instagram. So YouTube, the YouTube channel is Feet and Co. Feet with the symbol and Co. That represents the whole leg, feet and legs. So you can obviously see whatever video that interests you and then drop a question. I'll get the notification. But Instagram, a lot more active there. I post daily on that, stories, tips and all that, and then post daily. So my Instagram is the foot mechanic, _foot_mechanic. And I can use a follow if you want to follow, but DM me and anyone, you ask anyone on my follower list, I always answer my questions ASAP. So any questions, please drop me a line. I'm more than happy to answer.
That's great. Yeah, definitely go and follow Grant on Instagram and watch his videos on YouTube. I'm going to follow him.
Thanks, man.
This was great. There's so many things about the foot that you can talk about. Thank you very much for joining us at the club, Grant.
It's an honor to be part of such a great thing you're doing here, Leon. So glad to be part of it.
And there we have it. Another amazing guest has visited our club. Make sure to subscribe to the Thriving Life Club podcast on your favorite app. Simply go to thrivinglifeclub.com/ and the name of your favorite platform. iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube. You get the point. You will find the show notes, the episode freebie, and the resources mentioned during the episode by navigating your browser to thrivinglifeclub.com/ and the number of this episode. For example, for the episode 3, you would go to thrivinglifeclub.com/ 3. For the episode 7, you would go to thrivinglifeclub.com/ 7. We want to make this podcast the #1 podcast on iTunes in its category. When you feel inspired, head over to iTunes and give us a quick review to keep the podcast commercial free and get it discovered by more people like you and families like yours. Rate and review the podcast on iTunes and share it with your friends. Let's inspire more people together. And until the next episode, just remember, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can, live a thriving life.